All right. Do you believe students learn better on paper or online?
Well, they're two different mediums. Um, I think students are very comfortable working online. So for students today, working online is not that big of a deal. People of my generation, we grew up with books, and sometimes looking online can be a hassle. Uh, I think online gives you much more up to date current information, which makes it more useful in a lot of ways, especially when you're doing research. I'm as a teacher, I've gone more and more to online stuff, and I don't really use the books a whole lot anymore.
Uh, what do you think are some pros or like a major pro and a major con to either or side?
For online stuff, a pro would be it's up to date. It's easy to add to it. People can publish their own work a lot faster. It's a lot easier to find information, for a student. A con for online stuff, you still, like any other resource, you have to be able to distinguish if it's fact or fiction, or if it's, good, or, if it's a valid thing.
Do you believe if students were given tablets to learn online or laptops, do you believe distractions would be even higher in class?
I'm pretty liberal about the use of that stuff. I know that a lot of times people are distracted. I mean, I'm not stupid. I know people use, when I'm teaching, there'll be some kid might text, a kid might do. The temptation is definitely there to get off task. So there is that, possibility that. But I think that's the world that you guys live in. That's the world you grew up in. I think that's the world you should be educated in. So I never tried to fight that battle. I just don't think it's one
One
the
to
teacher's
fight.
going to win.
Yeah. Due to if most schools were to be more electronically inclined, do you believe it would have an effect on the environment rather than the mass production of textbooks, but more rather the mass production of tablets since they'd be in higher demand?
Yeah, it would probably, the less paper we use, the less waste, the less pollution you're going to have. It would have an impact on the environment. But I'll be honest, most of my own private reading and study, it's books. I don't use the
I
internet
can't read online either.
I mean, I read books. That's what I use, and that means paper. Now, I have tried to use Kindles, and that's okay. I've kind of gotten into that, but sometimes in a book you'll mark things so you can go back later and you know right where it is. There's that tactile that you just sort of know where it is. Whereas when it's online, it's just it's sometimes it's hard to go back and find things. At least it is for me. So yeah.
Let's see. Do you think most schools it'd be too expensive for schools to afford tablets?
It's a definite investment. I think most schools are going to some sort of technology.
Sort of as we've been
we
turning to Chromebooks.
we've done the Chromebooks mostly because they're cheaper than like an iPad. That'll probably run you
Sort of
five,
like some of the
$600
STEM
bucks.
classes at the middle school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that we here at Graham are trying to go to what they call one-to-one policy. Basically, every kid would receive a tablet or a Chromebook. They hadn't really decided. I think that's been put on hold, but that is a huge cost. Plus, there's how long does your stuff stay current? I mean, within 6 months, all technology's out of date. Something else has come along to replace it, and some schools have looked towards, they rent their equipment, they lease it. And then when the lease is up, they ship it out and they get a whole new batch of stuff. So that's another option, but
Um, do you think tablets or laptops would be? Do you think they're better for standardized testing than you would for a textbook or a paper test?
if the
pencil
tests are
paper?
going to be online, it probably lends itself to, you're in a digital environment. It's a little easier to navigate and to kind of understand. But I still think test scores are higher on paper tests. And
Which leads me to my next question. Studies say that you learn better from reading a textbook or that you retain subjects
Or do you
better.
know anyone that would like know where?
1 second. What's that?
I went down there and she said, or because like nobody was in there, so they told me to come back in like 5 minutes to come back, so I was just gonna run down there again.
Do you know if anyone's like knows where the books are? Like is there like a specific person?
I would ask, I think Karen Gibson or Heather Miller.
Yeah, are they in there right now?
They should be, or they're in Thomas. They usually help out with that stuff.
Yeah.
You
Thank
think
you.
we can go?
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Studies say that you learn better from reading a textbook or that you retain subjects you have read easier than on a laptop. Would you argue this? Or have you seen it within your
Well, I think
students?
we learn better from using a textbook. I think it's easier to read. I think that's kind of how we're.
And I believe when you look at a laptop, the eyes are strained easier, or they're more strained. There's a lot more health.
Oh yeah, you get. I mean,
Problems related to
headaches, your
You
eyes
lose
get tired.
melatonin. It's harder to sleep. That leads to insomnia, which can lead
Oh,
to
definitely.
depression.
Yeah, before you go to bed, I mean, one of the bad habits I get into is I'll lay in bed reading my phone, or then I wonder why I can't fall asleep. It's probably because I've been staring at a bright screen for 20 minutes or whatever.
Last few questions. I believe it might be inconvenient to students to use a laptop or a tablet due to the fact they can't carry it around wherever they go, and they might have tighter schedules than some people. They might have too many extracurriculars. There might be stuff they need to get done at home. Would you agree with this? Or would you agree that there should be a textbook option for people who
Yeah, I think
prefer
so.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have interventions for like IEP kids. Yeah, you can do an intervention for any student. It's a differentiation, basically. Just how can you learn better? If you would learn better with a book, why aren't we giving you a book? You see, that's the trick.
Instead of
Forcing you have to read it online and do it online. I know some kids. When you were a freshman, did you have the online textbook and all that stuff?
Yeah, it was McGraw-Hill.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I know some
I've had
people
that since,
liked
like,
it.
6th grade.
Some kids absolutely hate it.
I personally didn't like it. The text was too small. It was hard to read.
Yeah, so
It hurt my eyes.
I think there are another problem with online textbooks is that they are incredibly expensive. I mean, you pay almost as much for an online copy as you do a physical copy, which just
And
blows
then
my mind.
Students do a lot better when they have a textbook, so you may as well.
It just depends on the kid.
Oh,
Again,
yes.
But again, your online textbooks are constantly updated. They can be changed, whereas you end up like me with my psych books, which are 25 years old, and a lot of the content's it's not relevant
Outdated,
anymore.
yeah. Tablets can be easily damaged, which could result in damaged costs, and this is due to clumsy or destructive students. Do you think there's a way to prevent this, or do you think certain students should not have.
Well, I think everybody should have the chance to have a tablet. I wouldn't limit it.
But if they break it, the student obviously pays for repairs or a new.
Right, something like that, or give them the option of buying an insurance thing, where,
Last two questions. Would you rather, thing with if students start demanding more tablets and electronics is with the mass production that'll bring upon greenhouse gases. And the thing I've been thinking about is with textbooks, you're wasting paper, but you can always regrow a tree. Not saying
Right.
most companies will bother with that, but you can always regrow trees, unless of course it's too late.
Yeah, the problem is it takes a while to grow a tree to a size big enough that you can use it. You got to be careful you're not
Doing it too soon.
you're outpacing your ability to replace a resource.
And what is your final opinion or thoughts?
I'm a big techie guy. I love using computers, online stuff. It's a very useful tool, but it's just a tool. It's like any other tool. It's got its purpose and limitations, like anything else. Some teachers think, oh, we need our computers and all our problems are solved, and I don't think that at all. It's just another tool for people to use.
Agreed.
But I'd love for everybody to have their own machine. Definitely help for the future.
Well, thank you for helping me out.
Yep.